When you have outgrown what once felt like home, a soul talk on transition, growth, and giving yourself permission to evolve. You are listening to Empower Mind Talk, navigating mental health, strength, and belonging. And let me tell you something, this is a real soul talk. I am your host, Maureen, a life and purpose coach, mental health advocate, Asia coach, author, and a fellow traveler on this winding path of healing, identity, and homecoming. Welcome back, my dear listeners, to another episode of Empower Mind Talk. Before we begin, I want to speak to the part of you that has outgrown your old story, but still unsure how to step into the new one. Maybe the people around you are still expect you to play an old role. Maybe the places that once felt like home now feel unfamiliar. Maybe you are standing at a quiet age between your past and your becoming. If that's where you are, this is your soft permission to stop apologizing for your growth. You are not breaking away. You are breaking open. So let's begin. There is a sacred discomfort that often shows up right before we expand. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's subtle. A sense that the room you used to thrive is now or does now feel too small. The conversations that once excited you now drain you. The habits that once brought you safety now feel limiting. The people you once aligned with now don't quite see you anymore. This is the moment many people fear because it asks you to let go, not out of rejection, but out of recognition. You are no longer the same, and what once held you might not be able to hold all of you anymore. That isn't failure. That's growth. I had seasons where I clung to familiarity just to feel safe, where I watered myself down to stay palatable, relatable, understandable. But at the same point, I realized you cannot heal or expand in spaces that require your silence to stay loved. And so, with trembling hands and a steady heart, I began walking away from what no longer reflected my truth. Was it easy? No, it wasn't easy, but it was necessary. I once held space for a woman in transition, a client who had done everything right. She checked every box, built a life that looked beautiful on the outside. But one day, in our sessions, she said, I don't recognize my life anymore, but I am afraid to live what I have always known. I looked her in the eyes, or I just looked at her and gently said, outgrowing doesn't mean you have failed in the past. It means your future is asking for your attention. She wept, not because she was broken, but because someone finally gave her permission to shift. I have got 3 soul truths about outgrowing. Number 1, growth isn't always loud. Sometimes it whispers a soft discontent, a quiet misalignment. Pay attention because your soul always leaves clues. So pay attention to your clues or your soul's clues. Number 2, you are allowed to leave what no longer supports your becoming. That's not betrayal. Though it might feel like you're betraying somebody or yourself, it is not betrayal. That's self-trust in action. Number 3, you don't need permission to evolve. You only need to honor the voice within you that says there is more for you. And it's okay to go and find it. I have got a gentle reflection practice that you can take with you this week. Take a moment, breathe softly. That is, if you are in a position to do so, like I always mention, ask yourself, what am I still holding on? What am I still holding on? What am I still holding on to? Not because it fits, but because it's familiar. Where am I staying small? Where am I staying small to avoid disappointing others? What would it look like to trust the version of me I am becoming? There is no rush to answering these questions, please. Let your truth arrive in its own time. And this is a final deep breath again. So take one deep breath. And as you exhale, release the guilt that you might be holding. Release the obligations that you might be having. Release the pressure to stay the same for the sake of comfort. You were not or never made to stay stagnant. You are made to grow, to shade, to shift, to rise. So here is an affirmation that you also can carry with you through this week. I release what I have outgrown. I walk forward with grace. I trust the version of me I am becoming. Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode reminded you of your own quiet transformation, subscribe to Empower Mind Talk, where you are becoming is always welcome. Leave a review. Your voice helps others hear theirs. Share these with someone who needs a gentle reminder that growth is not a betrayal. And join my Sacred May Circle for tools, reflections, and upcoming soul workshops. This is Empower Mind Talk, because you are allowed to evolve. You are allowed to outgrow. You are allowed to choose yourself again and again. Until next time, be kind to your mind. Be loyal with your growth. And never forget, it's okay to outgrow what once felt like home, because home is something you are now learning to carry within.